Well, you must be a little bit worried about the Wallabies at the moment. The sort of lowest ever ranking, 9th in the world. Not that you always look at that, but Dave Rennie's win record only at 38%. Have you been a bit underwhelmed by his tenure?
I think, yeah, I have. Like, I get sucked in watching them play, and I enjoy the way they play. I like the style of rugby that they're playing. They play with a lot of structure and detail, and it tends to suit the playing group. But then I get lost. I've been a bit lost until someone told me about that the win record, and it is pretty disappointing, particularly because you want to start building consistency in performances, but also consistency in combinations. It seems like he's still searching for the right combination right throughout the team. Whether it's in the second row or the front row or your 9 and your 10, your midfield partnerships. I mean, he hasn't been helped with certain injuries, but it is a bit concerning that we haven't seemed to settle on key positions within the team moving forward, because there's not that many games until the Rugby World Cup. And I think in my experience, particularly the last Rugby World Cup, you look at us then, it was myself and Whitey who were chopping and changing throughout the whole competition. And it makes a big difference, not just with your performance as an individual, but particularly in those core spots. Like, guys respond to your voice and your direction. And if you're not settled in those particular areas, it makes a big difference to the functioning of the team. And so, yeah, it has been a little bit underwhelming, but hopefully they can use this tour as a springboard to sort of develop those combinations moving into that Rugby World Cup next year.
But there's still so many players out, so that's what I worry about. He can't get that consistency, can he?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you've got Quade. For me, Quade slots back in at number 10 as soon as he's right, because he was excellent when he got back in there. And he very, and you've got Marika to come back, and those guys very much fit into the mold of how Dave wants to play. So those guys coming back will add that boost of experience and quality of player. But like I said, I just hope that we start to settle on combinations moving forward. Hopefully guys who are playing now can step up and take those opportunities.
But don't you find that Australia, especially with its player base being quite small, and a lot of the best players aren't even playing in Australia, and that sort of ties Dave Rennie's hands? Do you know what I mean? Like, we got people like Geordie Reid over here pulling up trees. You got Shawnee McMahon in Japan being a freak show as always. I'm just thinking, maybe, I don't know, shouldn't he just pick from everywhere and just get the best team he can? I feel like that's not the best Wallabies team that can be picked. No disrespect.
He's not allowed, is he? Are you only allowed 3 or 4 from overseas at the moment?
Yeah, we're only allowed 3, so you can get 3 overseas players. But I'm with you. I honestly believe that you should just available wherever they are. Yeah. But I guess the argument to that is it takes away from the quality of the competition here with Super Rugby, because if everybody can leave and cash in and make money, they will. But then what people don't realise, I think, powers that be, is all these big clubs overseas, it's not like they're going to say, oh, we can pick all these Australians, let's go pay them a shitload of money now. They're not going to do that. They're only going to pay the top level quality of players. So they're not going to take all the talent. They're only going to take the sprinkling at the very top. And even then, they might not. So I'd love for them to just open it up and say, look, let's just pick from everywhere.
Just pick from everywhere. Imagine it'd be so class.
People like Tate McDermott, I thought played fucking well at the weekend. He showed up pretty well. I'd have Pete Samu starting. The man comes off the bench and absolutely tears it up every time. Big pistol Pete.
Every time.
Mate, I'm with you. I don't know how. I think he hurt his back, but even before he hurt his back, he was relegated to the bench. Mate, he's been exceptional. I think he's been excellent every time off the bench, and even in the last couple of games where he started. And I like Hooper's obviously world class, right? He's been one of the greatest players to play the game, I'd say. But at the moment, the balance that the back row has and the forward pack has when you put someone like Pete Samu in is just he changes the dynamic of that forward pack, because he brings size, he brings a better option in the line out, and he's just got his athletic ability and the carry and his work in defense he's been excellent. Look, it's a interesting position to be in for Dave, whether he makes that call to start picking Pete moving forward.
Post World Cup, Will, I think I've read that you'd quite like to see Michael Cheika come back and take over. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
First of all, I think he's an excellent coach, and the experience that he's had in the 5 or 6 years that he had with the Wallabies and now with Argentina, he'll only become a better coach. But he just loves Australia. He loves the Wallabies. He just has this crazy amount of passion, and love for the game here in Australia and for the jersey. And I loved my time with him. And so to be able to get another opportunity, I think I'd love to see it, especially because he'd be coming back having learned the lessons from the years that he was already there at the Wallabies, and now being in Argentina and all the other things that he's done.
We've had lots of your Wallabies teammates on here. They've spoken about Czechs, crazy alternative techniques, if you will, giving out shots of tequila pre-training. He actually gave us his version on the pod a couple of weeks ago as well. Now, what are your weirdest recollections of his alternative methods on and off the field?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but when we got picked for the Rugby World Cup, you got told that you were going to make the team, and then we then had like he just sent you a message of where to go, like this secret warehouse or somewhere. Like, so I'm in Brisbane. He was like, go to this place at this time. And then you go there, it's dark, it's pitch black, it's black. There's no one there. It looks like you're going into like a CIA room or something. And then you go sit there, and then you sit opposite this person with a computer screen in front of you, dark. And he just asks you all these random questions about, I can't even remember. And I felt like I was getting interviewed like I was a terrorist or something. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I walked out of there thinking, what the fuck just happened? And then it came to be that it was just like he wanted to learn about the individual on a different level away from sport, so he could create bonds and connectivity around it. And it was weird, but like you actually realize the importance of it, and it did help us. Obviously, we went to the final in 2015 that year. So, but yeah, you've got all the stories around like the golf club, and then you've got we would have like shots of tequila for someone's birthday, or someone had a kid, and then and he would make you drink it. And I don't like to do that stuff. And I'd be sitting there with the glass, and he'd walk up and be like, "Mate, drink it," and I'd be like, "Fuck," and down a shot, and then scull some water and go out, and he'd flog you on the training pitch.
Yeah.
Who was asking the questions then when you went to this place? Just a random bloke?
Hey, this random bloke. And like everyone all had different experiences. I think my bloke had like a veil on or something, all in black. And it was
a ring red.
Dude, it was, man, it was strange. It was weird. I literally was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, is he gonna, do I not bring my phone because he can take all the information off? And like, he can, like, it was weird.
See, talking to him, yeah, you could see he thinks a lot about how he can motivate and sort of get the most out of players. Like, he's big into that sports psychology vibe. That's what the sort of vibe I was getting from him. Fascinating bloke.
I found him excellent in that space.
Yeah.
Some of his methods were very different, but they were all based around wanting to get to know the individual, to build like connections and bonds. To create a good culture, where you wanted to be a part of his team, of this Wallaby team. And I thought that, I'd played for 10 years, and prior to him becoming coach, times when I would go to Wallaby camp, I preferred to be with the Reds, because I felt more of a connection to the Reds than I did when I would represent Australia. But when he came in, he created this whole identity piece around, okay, what does it mean to represent this Wallaby team? What does it mean to be a part of this team? Like, we're all different people that come from different cultures. What do we aspire to become? Where do we aspire to take the jersey to? And he put all that together to create this identity piece. And, for me, every time I then went back into Wallaby camp, I loved it, because I knew what it meant to be a part of this Wallaby team. And so I thought he was excellent. Some of the methods, again, were a bit different, but I thought he was excellent in creating a good culture in that way.